Hello, namaskar to all the viewers, and welcome to this episode of Learning and Growing Together. I'd like to start by asking a few questions. Are we all ready? How do we want our classrooms to look like? I'm sure our unanimous answers will be we want our classrooms to be joyful, interactive, vibrant, and pulsating with life. And what kind of learners do we want in our classrooms? We want our learners to be engaged, enthusiastic, creative, collaborative, communicative, and those who are thinking individuals and involved learners. Those who can construct their own knowledge. Then what are the barriers to achieving the above? I think few probable reasons can be children are bored in the classrooms, which is why they have poor concentration. They lack interest in what they are studying and don't understand what is being taught, and they don't really find relevance of what they study in the classrooms, which is why there is lack of involvement. So the topic we are going to discuss today might help us educators find solutions to many of these issues and help us achieve what we all aspire for in our classrooms. So are you all ready to create joyful classrooms and have engaged learners? Let's talk about art integration or art integrated learning as a pedagogy. Before we talk about art integration, let's first discuss what art is. Let's have a quiz. Tell me a word that comes to your mind when the word art is mentioned. Yes, painting, color, imagination, creativity, craft, theatre, dance, music, and even cooking. Art is all these and more. It's a creative expression of the self that brings joy and makes us feel complete. Art can be visual, performing, or even culinary. Visual arts may include art, craft, painting, sculpture, photography, etc. Performing arts may include puppetry, theatre, mime, music, and dance. And culinary includes cooking, baking, etc. Now, what is the importance of art? Research shows that art is extremely important in the process of learning because all forms of art enhance all three domains of student learning, which includes cognitive, that is thinking, recalling, and being reflective. Affective, which is social and emotional. Psychomotor, which is about use of body and movement. So what is art integration or art integrated learning? The dictionary meaning of the word integration is the act of combining or adding parts to make a unified whole. Thus, art integration means combining arts with the teaching of different curricular areas. Art integrated learning is a teaching learning process which is based on learning through the arts and with the arts. It's a process where art becomes the medium of teaching learning process. AIL or art integrated learning provides a learning experience that engages the learner's mind, heart, and body, which is the 3 H's: head, heart, and hand. For example, a chemistry teacher, instead of using the traditional chalk and talk method for teaching the topic molecules can teach it through a molecule dance, an art. That would be art integration. Or an English teacher for teaching poetry can teach it through puppetry, drama, or art.
I mean, a mere beginner. But with me, you will be a winner. Dearest Frog, this is a fairy tale, and you are Mozart in disguise. Come to work before my eyes. Well, I charge a modest fee. Oh, but it won't hurt, you will see.
That again would be AIL. Art education is the process that encourages sensory explorations. It provides a platform to work with ideas and materials to create expressions, which might not be expressed by words alone. In this, the art teacher and students work on various art forms and follow a curriculum. Art education refers to, let's say, specialized knowledge of the grammar, theory, and methods of doing arts. In the art integrated learning, learners go through different stages of learning, which are observing, thinking, imagining, exploring, experimenting, deducing, creating, and expressing. These stages need actual involvement of all three domains of learning, which we have discussed earlier: cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Hence, it becomes experiential in nature and leads to the holistic development of every learner. Now, you may want to ask, why is art integration important, or what is the rationale behind art integrated learning? There are various reasons to support the art integrated pedagogy. The first and foremost being that it makes learning joyful and creative. And we all had discussed that we want to make our classrooms joyful and our learners engaged learners. As NEP 2020 states, that it is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn, but more importantly, they learn how to learn. Education thus must move towards less content and more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems. In this context, the art integrated learning pedagogy provides open space for critical thinking skills, creativity, problem solving, communication, and collaboration. It shifts the focus from rote learning to conceptual understanding and research-based learning, and promotes student buy-in. What do I mean by student buy-in? It means that students are active participants in their own learning. Art integrated learning also decompartmentalizes education and dissolves boundaries between subjects. Let's say if I'm teaching science, I'm also involving social science, arts, mathematics, music, and drama. That makes it cross-curricular and interdisciplinary. It promotes inclusion and enhances life skills. Also inculcates respect for culture and heritage. AIL helps learners connect learning with the outside world, making learning relevant for them. Now, most interestingly, it promotes whole brain learning, left and right. When art integration learning happens, neurons get fired in both the hemispheres of the brain. which is why we call it holistic learning. Now the question arises, how do we implement it in our classrooms? We teachers always feel that we are so hard pressed for time that there is no time to include anything new in our teaching learning process. But I will explain how we can implement and incorporate art integrated learning in our day-to-day teaching. Although the art experience is flexible and children do learn in the process of exploration and experimentation, but a broad framework is crucial for the effective implementation of art integrated learning. So first and foremost, it's important that we have capacity building of teachers done by holding teachers' trainings and observations. And in fact, not only just teachers, even parents must know that the school is teaching using AIL, and they also must be trained accordingly. Planning of activities is equally important. How do we link art activities to various subjects? This requires a lot of planning. And as I said earlier, that we teachers always feel that we have enough on our platters. So how do we include something new? How do we plan our time? So this planning should be done right in the beginning of the session in the annual calendars and timetables. A few suggestions could be to use block periods, zero periods, and even assemblies. The resources which are to be used for AIL, we need to be careful as to what kind of resources we are using. We don't want to spend too much on buying these resources. So it's imperative that resources are economical, they are environment friendly, and they can be used again. And any innovative resources that we can find which are readily available around us. For this kind of learning, this kind of pedagogy, classroom management is extremely important, which necessitates teachers to try out flexible seating. Seating can be in U-shape or in clusters or even semicircles. Again, it's important that the whole community is involved when we are doing such like projects and trying out these pedagogies in our class. What is the role of teachers in the implementation of art integrated learning? I feel teachers play an integral role in the implementation because they are the mainstays of the entire pedagogy. Few pointers which I would like to share with all teachers before they get down to implementing the AIL in their classrooms. Please focus on the process, not on the product. Try and create inclusive and vibrant classrooms using arts as means to learn. Because there might be some children who are differently abled or have some learning disabilities. We must try and include everyone and create activities which are suitable to all kinds of learners. Continue to explore different methods and materials of art forms as a part of the process. Plan your AIL activities well in advance to create a better learning environment for the smooth conduct of it. As they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So plan well. Strategize and work as a team with teachers of art education, health, and physical education. In fact, teachers of all departments must sit together and plan all the activities of art integration. Generate and encourage use of cost-effective and local specific resources for activities. Provide ample time to every learner so that they can learn at their individual pace. Encourage the process of peer learning by forming groups, which is in tune with NEP 2020. That peer tutoring can be taken up as a voluntary and joyful activity for fellow students under the supervision of trained teachers. Try and utilize the spaces in your classroom creatively for all the performances and the activities that you would like to perform. Maintain portfolios of all students to assess their performance and document activities which have been conducted in the classrooms. I feel teachers can also take up art integrated projects with learners, and these projects can be investigative, design, problem solving, or decision making projects. Now let me give you a few examples to make it clear. Let's say if a teacher has to teach a lesson in English. The lesson, I think this is from grade 4 English books, NCERT books, Helen Keller. So first, the learning outcomes should be listed out by the teachers. After the learning outcomes have been listed, they can be an ice-breaking session. Now, the ice-breaking session is extremely important because here a lot of brainstorming happens. One icebreaker I can give example of. This can be that children, they can be divided in groups of 6 members each on cues provided by the teacher, and the teacher gives them a big drawing sheet to divide it in 3 columns. The columns are I can do, I cannot do, and I can do only with help or assistance from others. Then students can be asked to sketch each task they want to write in these 3 columns. And each group then presents their collages to the class. After the presentation, children can be asked some questions. Another activity which can be done is that 2 children can be asked to come forward, and one of them is blindfolded and taken to one side of the class. Few obstacles could be kept in their way. The other child helps the blindfolded child reach a predetermined location by giving instructions in loud and clear voice. After the activity, the teacher can ask questions to the rest of the class as to what were they thinking when the activity was going on. Did the blindfolded child face any difficulty while walking? This could be asked to the blindfolded child as well as to the rest of the class. Also, teacher could ask if they have seen people with some physical difficulties around them. And few children may take names of their friends or relatives. Teacher could even ask as to what are the common difficulties that people with disabilities face. Do people help them? Do we help them? And if yes, how do we help them? Very often, children talk about giving money as help, as the general notion with them is that physically challenged means a person living in poverty. The teacher needs to carefully clear this misconception. So after hearing the responses of all the children, the teacher can narrate the story of Helen Keller. The teacher can ask the children to read the story on their own and develop their own understanding. After this, she can read the story to the class with proper intonations and expressions, and they all understand the story together. The teacher writes a few new words on the blackboard with their meanings to add on to their vocabulary. And then she divides the class into 3 groups. This is another activity that can be performed. So she divides the class into 3 groups: performers, quizzers, and participants. The groups are given a time of, let's say, 15 minutes, and during this time 3 groups have to plan, like performers will dramatize the story, trying to be as close as possible to the main storyline. They may create innovative props using material which is available in the classroom or in the school premises, or whatever they have with them. Quizzers and participants have to both prepare a set of questions which they will ask each other after watching the performance. The roles could even be reversed between the groups. If the performers have missed out on some important link, they can be quizzed too after the performance. This way, the teacher ensures whole class participation in one way or the other. The teacher can also introduce Braille, the language of the visually impaired. She could also show a video of making Braille alphabets. The children can write or emboss the alphabets and later try to write their own names in Braille. This can be an interesting activity, and read them by touching. This is to make them understand that physical challenge does not stop people anyway from learning and growing up beautifully. Now, one more example. Let's say we have to teach water pollution through art integration. We can organize an outing or trip for children to a nearby water body. It can be a river, lake, or any other water body if possible. Or we can ask the students to trace the origin of the river and find out how the quality of its water deteriorates through its journey. After the visit or research, they share their observations and findings through art, drawing, painting, song, poetry, PPTs, role play, or any other way. They can even prepare a pamphlet or poster to be put up in the school or in their society to create awareness about water pollution. They can even write to the municipal authority of the state, highlighting the situation and urging them to take action. Then we can read from the textbook to reinforce the topic and make children construct their own learning. After which they can be asked to conduct a survey in the neighborhood to understand and highlight the role of common people in causing the pollution and suggesting a few ways to stop it. So what we can see here is that this entire project becomes cross-curricular. Learners learn about the journey of the river, which is a topic from social science, causes of its pollution, which is science. They make posters, pamphlets, paintings, write songs and poetry, do role play. This is all art, music, theatre, and language. They also conduct surveys and write a letter. Again, this is language. We can see that the subject boundaries get completely dissolved. And they learn through exploration, questioning, critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration. And one more thing, they also learn the important life skill of being responsible citizens. Before we conclude today's session, let me give you a list of a few visual and performing arts activities which you can use to suit your requirement. For visual arts, we can use drawing, painting, modeling, which can be clay modeling, coil modeling, paper sculpture, paper mache and wire sculptures, leaf and vegetable painting, mask and puppet making, toy making, and even rangoli making. For performing arts, it can be music, dance, mime, puppetry, theatre, and stories. Dear viewers, I hope this session would have stirred our imagination and given us a few fresh ideas and thoughts. We will meet again to discuss art integrated learning in specific subjects. Till then, happy learning. Thank you.